is Jobful up to, and what's it, what's its next plans, and then go into a Q&A session. And so I'm inviting, all the people in the audience to address their questions directly in the chat, or in the second part of today's session to also be able to, just turn on their mics and address the questions directly to Mihai. So without further ado, Mihai, the floor is yours.
My very first question, thank you for the kind introduction. My very first question is, should we wait a bit more? Are people maybe connecting still? Because you have the list of attendance, and I'm not sure if they would miss the very first part, which is about the context, and I think relevant to some degree.
I think typically, I think it's usually, when we're waiting for a minute, I think most people are here, and then, regardless, we'll have the recording of the session, and all the attendees will also receive the recording.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that as soon as we pitch and we start the pitching, we have the full picture. But we can start if this is the very next step. So everyone's ready? Let me share my screen. Can you please let me know when it's visible?
Yes, we can. We can see it.
Okay, let me maybe make this area a bit smaller. So first things first, thank you everyone for connecting and for your interest to find out about Jobful, where we are, what we do, where we're going, and the opportunity to invest in our business. The very first slide, as you can see, it's about the vision. I think this is one of the most important aspects, considering that the technology we build and we provide for our customers, it's built on a changing market. So the innovation component, it's critical. In our view, we look to develop state-of-the-art technology that empowers all professionals. And what this means is we've built technology with the end purpose of employment or recruitment, but centered around the individual. And in a few slides, I'm sure that it will all make sense if it doesn't already. Now, what we know is that the workforce market has evolved and it's constantly changing. But the question that arises is, how is it changing? And the very first part of this introduction would be understanding what's important for employers, because one way or another, they are a key stakeholder in this process. What we know today is that people with strong employer brands, so who invest and are actively engaging in employer branding, have decrease in cost per hire, which is the key metric in recruitment. They reduce the time to hire. So as soon as they need professionals, they are able to find these professionals faster. They increase the employee engagement, referral rates, and they reduce the turnover rates. What this means is that recruitment is a business critical process. We all know that any organization out there is performant if they have the right people on the right jobs. Now let's look on the other side of the market. So what's the workforce market saying? Now this is a couple of other statistics that you have in front of you. For example, 88% of job seekers, people who are looking for a job, take into consideration the branding of the employer. 69% of the candidates would reject a job offer even if they were unemployed, if that organization has a bad reputation. Now the list goes on in terms of candidates saying no to employers. But the emphasis I wanted to put here is that the way we look at work and we perceive work has changed. If historically it was a relationship about time, giving my time and my skill for a certain amount, so an exchange of value, today, more and more professionals, this is the changing that we've been able to observe for the last 7 years and are still observing, is that today professionals are looking at How can I develop within this organization? What's my impact, or what's the impact of the entire organization? What are the projects that I'll be working on? How's the team looking like? What is the culture within the organization? There's plenty more that we consider right now when it comes to saying yes to a potential job. Now let's see the entire process end to end. And the question that we'll be answering in this slide is, are we investing or spending when it comes to recruitment? Now, I think it's a bit predictable, the answer. In most cases, we're spending. But let's look at the top of the funnel. So here is, where do we find the candidates? Where are they coming from? And this can be job boards, it can be job platforms, it can be referrals, it can be from the career website. So it can be all sorts of touch points between the employer and potential candidates. What we know is that only 11% of them are actually getting in the database of that employer. So we, as employers, we leave 89% of this value that we're paying for. So professionals and candidates who are saying they're interested in us, we're living outside our own systems. If we look at the next level, so here we already have a drop-off rate of 89%. When we look at consideration, so candidates applying for jobs, getting to the interview, that's around 12%. This is global statistics. So it could be higher or lower depending employer by employer. In this phase, it's 12%. Once again, we leave 88% of the candidates who apply for the jobs, we leave somewhere in the internet, often without an answer, badly affecting our employer brand. Then we have from interview to offer, 15%, and another pool of candidates who are leaving the process. And at the very end, these are the people who we're hiring. So the short answer is, today we're spending in recruitment. Generally speaking, we're firefighting to find as soon as possible as many candidates as needed in order to get to 1% that we actually hire. The other 99% of the candidates are lost in the process, one way or another. So what we do is basically make sure that we don't leave anyone out. And I'll get back to the previous slide because there are some mentions over there. But we transform this funnel. We basically say, well, let's do integration with job boards, with referral system, with career website, with every single source where you find candidates, and make sure that everyone gets into your talent community. Now, this is the very first layer. Everyone is here, and we diversify the way they interact. So they can learn new things about the employer or a specific department. They can demonstrate abilities, they can win awards, they can simply be part of the community and participate to webinars or events. But as soon as someone says, well, I'm interested to find out more about you as an employer, that's when our technology facilitates this candidate acquisition, it's called, in the process. Now, for the second part, we're looking at engagement. Some of the metrics are greatly improved, like cost per hire, the time to fill. However, in the selection process, you still need to select candidates. So all the candidates who might not fit your profile, or maybe you close that role at some point as recruitment team, they fall into this category of consideration, where we're looking, as mentioned, at skilling, assessment, events, and different mechanics in order to keep them close. The very next stage is selection. This is basically where the industry of recruitment technology stayed for the last 20 years without being able to innovate. This is called applicant tracking system. It's the CRM for candidates. It's the way we take one stage after another in order to see which are the best fit candidates. We cover this part as well, or we integrate with legacy solutions like SAP SuccessFactors, Oracle Taleo, Workday, or different other large solutions. And at the end of the process, now this is where we see the improvements, being in conversion rates, cost per hire, time to fill, candidate experience metrics. And as mentioned at the very beginning, the entire view from the market as a good or a bad employer. So this is where I wanted to get back over here, because the benefits include enforce a stronger employer branding, transparent and active communication with professionals, diverse opportunities for engagement with this workforce market, and radical improvement for recruitment metrics. And over here, I can mention a couple of customers just to understand the level of impact that we're driving. So we have large enterprises in our portfolio. They are actually the innovators in the market, which I think is a great sign. And in terms of building a candidate database, within 1 year, we managed to, for an employer, build a 65,000 database or community for that specific employer. So cost per hire is now a lot lower. Time to hire, it's a lot lower. And the entire brand for that employer, it's growing. What this means for the other part, what is people centricity, or what it means for professionals, it means a change in paradigm. So right now, in almost all of the cases, when we look at recruitment, the process for the individual is called apply and wait. That's everything you can do. You can find a job, you can apply, and then you wait. What we do with our model is basically through technology within the community, we facilitate a broader option pool for the candidate to engage. They can develop new skills and learn about that employer or specific skills. They can prove their competencies through assessments. They can solve challenges ending up in shortlists. And we conduct, basically, we drive this entire community process towards employment. In terms of the market, as you can imagine, when we talk about work for a global market, this is a huge market. Today, the staffing and recruitment market is above 600 billion and is ready to get to be disrupted. There are new and new forces joining this change, being cultural changes, as mentioned from the professionals, being COVID recession, being AI changing some jobs, departments, or even organizations. There are more and more forces that are pushing this market to be disrupted. As mentioned earlier, the innovation in the industry or in the line of business has been incremental at best. Now, being a solution that can facilitate integration with different other marketplaces or with different other applicant tracking systems, this allows us to transform our competition into partners. And I'll give you a couple of examples. We're working with recruitment agencies. For them, our technology is core business. We're working with large universities. For them, it's a model in which they can bring employers closer to their students and facilitate employment for them. We're working on social impact area with Ukrainian refugees, for example, the largest implementation in the world, actually, recognized by the State of the Union at EU level. And that includes more than 14,000 Ukrainian refugees on the platform and more than 2,000 global employers. And this facilitates us entrance in multiple markets, like the staffing and recruitment, the global HR technology, training and career council. There are multiple areas that we're looking to build together. Instead of, as a disruptor, you do need alliances in order to drive that change. Now we get to the team slide. You'll have the material, so you can check every single professional one by one if you'd like. What I can share with you today is that we practice what we preach. So when I said the people are actually the most important drivers for success in any organization, it's true for us as well. And the perspective I have over the current team, we're already 16 people in the team and growing, is that this team is actually able to drive successful entrepreneurship, even if we start today with a totally different line of business, a totally different business. So this is the level of confidence and expertise we have in the team. Because we do have complementary skills, we have both expertise and enthusiasm in terms of multi-generation team. And I think with the current team, we have everything needed in order to drive our next level of growth. And talking of growth, let's see how we look at growth. Because I think this, considering the market conditions and economical struggles worldwide, not only in Romania, I think it's important at any point of time to adapt your growth strategy. And we've seen this in 2020 when we were hit by the pandemic and we had the resilience to rebuild and get to this point. And the current growth strategy has 4 different pillars. I mentioned the current ecosystem or financial situation, economical struggles in the markets, because we don't place bets on hoping that something will change. This current stage that we're at, it's rather about doubling down on what we're already successful on. And the very first part, it's talent community software as a system. This is our core model. This is where most of our revenue comes from. We target enterprise innovators in Romania, but also international. One of our key customers is Winham, S&P 500 company. And I'll share more about this specific customer, but this is the core business and our main line of business. Now, the second one I wanted to address, it's about upsell and cross-sell. I think another great sign that we have from our customer base is that for this calendar year, on average, we managed to grow our accounts above 20% year over year. What this means is that our customers are happy with what we do, are happy with our innovation, and are more and more willing to double down or to invest more in building together with us. And I'll get to this point once again in the next slide. The third component is called marketplaces. So having this technology, it means that we can also implement it for key audiences. We have a strategic project that we're launching quite soon, actually, for youngsters. We have another key or a strategic project for people with disabilities and, generally speaking, vulnerable communities called Jobs for All. And we have our own marketplace, we call it Talent, that Jobful, where we're building a different model, where we actually already built it. But if the very first one, it's a long-term decision to innovate an entire department, which takes a bit more time. The second one, it's a way of seeing how the technology works for sourcing purposes, so for funding candidates, being youngsters, vulnerable communities, or generally speaking, professionals in the market. Now, this allows us to also grow in terms of faster sales cycle, shorter engagements in some cases, but also a more dynamic model that we're looking to grow across these marketplaces. Last but not least, we have our own social impact strategy. For this, we build alliances, and we're looking to grow also based on grants and sponsorships, and this has been part of our current success. Now, I wanted to address more specifically our strategic projects and opportunities, because probably hearing the pitch delivered so far, in some cases, one of the questions that could come to mind is, well, if you're doing so well, why are you raising capital? And it's a fair question, and the answer is actually in this slide. The reason we're raising capital right now, and apart from the round that we're doing on SeedBlink, we're actually raising $500,000, for which we already got commitments above 120K, and we're looking to grow this September and beginning of October. And the reason is cost of opportunity. Right now, we have already signed a series of strategic projects. Each of the 3 ones in front of you and of me, we have a clear journey how to get to 1 million in annual recurring revenue within the next 24 months. However, within the team, we have to split our investments, maybe focus a bit more time here, maybe invest more here. And we said, well, it's an opportunity that we need to leverage and we need to grow with all the opportunities in front of us. The first one is for youngsters. This targets 500,000 youngsters in the segment 14 to 24 in Romania. If you look at demographic, that's basically almost all of them. It's built in a strategic partnership with a top Romanian bank. It was validated in terms of interest with more than 20 universities who want to promote themselves within this community as a relevant next step for youngsters. It's been validated with our customer base and it's aligned with our product strategy. So this alone is a project that we're looking to take right now from around 150K up to 1 million within the next 24 hours. 24 hours, I wish. 24 months, I meant. The second one is Winham, the strategic partner. We implemented at EMEA level. They have a franchise model and we have our own commercial model with them. So they pay the subscription for the technology, but also every single hotel who joins this platform is paying 1,000 euros per year, which means in a franchise in EMEA of 500 hotels, the opportunity right now it's up to 500,000 if all of them join. Now, the distribution model is endorsed by the team from Winham. We have more than 20 managed hotels who confirmed. We validated interest for more than 100 hotels, and we're taking them through webinars one by one to grow our footprint, basically. And we already validated the interest from Latin America, North America, and Greater China. So we're now pitching to 3 new regions, which every single one of them is bigger than EMEA. In total, Winham globally has more than 8,000 hotels in their franchise. So our opportunity with this specific customer, it's up to 8 million on long term. What we're looking for the next 24 months is to take it from where it is up to 1 million in recurring revenue. And the third one is Just for All. This has been launched in June. It's dedicated for people with disabilities right now. We're looking to expand in other vulnerable communities. We validated interest and confirmed with employers in Romania, and we're already signing contracts on this. We're actively building the ecosystem, so we're looking at different other NGOs or partners who can be part of this. And we have a regional funding and strategic opportunity. We started discussing and working with UNHCR, UN's Arm for Refugees, with Nest, one of our ecosystem partners, and different other organizations who say, well, you're doing amazing work in this field. Can we do the same for Bulgaria, for the UK, for Poland, for new markets? And now we're building this expansion model for East Europe, and generally speaking, UK, apart from East Europe, is also one of the opportunities. Once again, this is an opportunity we already started, and we're looking at its own journey from where we started up to 1 million in the upcoming 24 months. Basically, the investment opportunity that we're discussing about is not something that we plan to do, not only something that we plan to do. It's something that we already have contracts for, and we're looking to expand. For those of you who might not have engaged previously with startups, it's way easier, and generally speaking, in the market, not only startups, it's way easier to grow a happy account than it is to convert a new one. So net new business is always harder than expansion in current accounts. And for us, the largest 3 opportunities are already in our accounts. We're just looking to expand them. Now let's discuss, and I think maybe this is the very last slide, so we can take questions and have a discussion, not only a pitch. Let's discuss a bit about what is the actual investment opportunity. Now, looking at our history, recent history, we doubled our recurring revenue. We're now forcing our way towards 400K in annual recurring revenue. And it's the third year consecutively that we've doubled our business. We doubled our team. We were 14. We're actually 16 in the meantime. We'll update the slide. At the very beginning of the year, we got in the break-even point. So secure stability. We don't know what changes in terms of fiscal changes, economical changes, or any other potential shocks for the market could arise. So what we wanted to make sure is that we stay close to break even. So we invest, we get back to break even, we continue to invest, especially as a lesson learned from 2020. We developed a high scalable model, as I presented, with multiple potential audiences, with different directions that we can build our growth for the upcoming years. And the opportunity from your end as potential investors, it's a convertible note. So it has 20% discount, which means 25% return of investment. If you do the math, 20% discount, it's the same as 25% return of investment as a minimum investment. If we grow above valuation cap for our next round, that's where our interests are aligned. Because we managed to attract cheaper money, so to say, at better valuations. And you, because having a valuation cap means that return of investment can improve. Now, it also has a floor at 4.8 million. This is the last conversions we've done at the end of last year. So this is our historical investors for the last 3-4 years. This is the valuation that they converted at. The maturity is 24 months. So it's basically, we're looking to do the next round as soon as we get to 1 million in annual recurring revenue. Now, I just presented the 3 projects that could get us, any of them could get us there. And the maturity is computed in such a way that we make sure that we close the next round within the time frame that we agreed on. Now I'll stop here with the presentation because it was the very last slide, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mihai, for the presentation. So, as a quick summary, can you tell us also a bit more about the garage story of the company? You guys have progressed a lot over the past years, but it's always well to understand also, where do you get your energy from? Where did you start actually with this story?
Sure. So we started prior to the pandemic. So in a different world, I would say, at least in terms of employment, recruitment, workforce market, what we're looking at. And at that time, what we realized is that the level of engagement that can be driven from candidate side. So if you simply want to find out more about the company, you can go all sorts of ways, to different webs, to different forums, to Reddit to find out. But we saw an opportunity that people are looking to be empowered in their work processes, and they don't have this opportunity. So we said, well, if we're building a model that facilitates this empowerment, so allows candidates to demonstrate abilities, to learn new things, to showcase to the employer that they really want to be there, that would be a more meritocratic system that we'd be living in. Now, what we realized in all these years is that this level of innovation and change always gets some sort of reaction. In some cases, just like you see in our customer base, a great reaction. We've been looking for this. Welcome. Let's go for it. In other cases, it's a reluctance to change. The way we see change in this market, not only in Romania, but internationally as well, it's that innovators start these engagements. They start working with companies like ourselves. And the results that they are getting are pulling the other market, the early adopters, late adopters, laggards, and so on. They are pulling the entire market. That's why one of the reasons I would say to consider investment in Jobful is that our customer base is full of innovators, and the results they are getting are constantly shocking the market. So keep an eye open for our success stories on the blog, because I think that that's where you can see where Jobful is going.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this. And you also had a dedicated slide about your team. Can you elaborate a bit on the learnings of how to basically pick the best individuals in the team that fit with your strategy and will deliver the results that you're looking at?
Yes. So I'd say first and foremost, I think it's critical for any startup to make sure that they have a entrepreneurship culture and that they attract entrepreneurial profiles. And what I mean by that is that in the toughest moments, let's say during the pandemic, or in a very bad situation that a startup can get and often gets, that's the moment that you want entrepreneurial profiles that say, well, how we can make it better, how we can sort this out, how we can solve it, and not profiles that say, well, this is not the engagement that I wanted. I was expecting the benefits, stock option plan, and all the milk and honey, but I'm out. That's the worst thing that can happen. So the very first thing I would say when selecting profiles in the team is making sure that they have a broader understanding of entrepreneurship and they have an entrepreneurial mindset. Otherwise, it's quite difficult to calibrate within the team how much of risk we're taking, how conservative we are, what's the next step, because the diversity always helps to have broader understanding. Now, in my team, what I can share is that I have a lot of expertise on specific topics, on customer success, on product development, on technology, on people and culture, on operations, and so on. I also have profiles, youngsters who are full of energy and let's do another thing and let's continue to innovate. And that's something that you need in any startup. And I think what brings everything together, like a glue, it's actually the culture. It's a team built and selected on values and on entrepreneurial mindset. That's the mix that I would recommend to any entrepreneur out there, at especially early stage.
All right. Well, thank you for this. And moving into a different direction of the conversation, can you also elaborate a bit on the competition and how does the competitive landscape look like? Who are you basically when talking to a customer? What's the main hurdles that you need to face?
Yes, thank you for the question. So I would say first, we managed to build this talent community platform, this innovation, as a missing puzzle piece. And it was presented as part of the pitch. It's something that it's basically missing right now in the market. And I'll give you a couple of examples. You have sourcing channels, you have job boards, you have LinkedIn, you have Monster, you have different platforms. You also have at the end of the customer what is called applicant tracking system. So the CRM for candidates, which is doing the management of the process for recruitment. You're in stage 1, you're in stage 2, and so on. And that's where I mentioned this iteration on innovation, but not true innovation in the field. And in the middle, you have best case scenario recruitment marketing and some employer branding processes. Like let's promote from a marketing perspective our brand as employer. But there is no other solution, at least none that we could find so far in our research, because we're constantly researching competitors, that it's putting these two things together, that it's empowering the employer branding department and facilitating the transition from a community to the recruitment process. And we have all sorts of frameworks, let's call them. In some cases, like Beko in Turkey, so an international, or Sephora in France, or Winham. They say, well, we already invested in SAP SuccessFactors a lot of money. It's a legacy solution. We don't want to change it. but we'd like to expand it with what you provide. So the component of ATS we don't do, we integrate with SaaS solution. This is the way we're transforming our competitors into partners. And we're partners with SAP, we're partners with Oracle, and so on. In some cases, and this happens especially in Romania, we were asked, well, we want you to do everything. We want one-stop shop. We want one platform to address all the needs. So, of course, we also developed the component for applicant tracking system. We can offer it as a full solution, including this, and we have engagement where we offer a full solution. In enterprise spaces, they prefer to expand their current solution because the risk is lower and the benefits are higher, and it's easier as a model. This is the way we operate in the market right now.
All right. And there's now a question related to the product and the technology, being, namely, how has it evolved over time? And then the second part of the question is how mature is it in terms of development? And probably I would continue, what are the next steps in terms of, product roadmap?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Adriana. So first, I'll mention our investment in the solution. So up until today, we invested more than 1 million euros in this solution and more than 7 years into building it. I would say it's quite mature. Another dimension to evaluate how mature it is, we were able to implement it in Regina Maria, 8,000 people, hiring more than 10,000 per month, building the community for more than 65,000 professionals in that community. So scalable and complex for such an organization. We also implemented for a bank in Romania, which we probably, most of us know, implementing in a highly regulated industry means all sorts of new things in terms of security, in terms of compliance, in terms of things that are important for international markets as well. Being able to implement it for EMEA in 12 different languages across multiple territories, once again, quite mature from that perspective as well. What I would add would be that the space for continuing our innovation is quite broad. Over the last 4 to 6 months, we invested in adding an area for events. So people can participate to webinars, so people can go to different events like Open Doors Day or maybe different other events that they facilitate for the community. Now, this specific area of technology is not novelty, generally speaking. There are some other tools, quite expensive actually, that do event management. But in the context of a community, this adds a lot of value. And it's not the only module that we're looking to develop. I hope I answered your question. Let me know if you meant something different that I didn't get to answer.
With this being said, I also want to open up the occasion and just remind people, if they want to address any kind of questions, to either write them in the chat or to turn up their mic and just speak up. It's it's an open discussion.
It is. I think I brought a lot of information and a lot of novelty, but that's when you're building innovation driven startup, I guess. Sure. Thank you for the question.
Mihai also had, several people were wondering related to a bit about the business model and the average contract that you guys are looking, and the types of customers that you're addressing. Can you elaborate a bit on that? What's your revenue split look like, and what are the plans for growth from a revenue perspective?
Yes. So most of our customers are enterprise customers. And this is a challenge, generally speaking, for startups. They start in mid-market where there's more market and more openness to innovation, and they have struggles to enter in the enterprise segment. For us, we were able from the beginning to work with enterprises. Now, this is not the only line of business. We have recruitment agencies who build their models on our technology. We have different communities of professionals who are looking to implement our solution in order to build like professional community for IT workers or different other industry. I would say average deal size for us, it's around 25,000 euros per year, more or less. I would add that in some cases, it's a build up in terms of revenue. And I'll give the example with Winham once again. So for them, it started from around 30,000 per year. Every new hotel that's onboarding is an additional 1K, even though we're invoicing every single hotel. So the model is a distribution model. For us, it's one customer who's growing from 30K to 100K this year to 500,000 next year. This is how we split our revenue. The initiatives regarding marketplaces like Talent, Just for All, or youngsters, these deals are smaller, between 5K to 12K, to 15 actually. The sales cycle is shorter. Probably the churn will start to appear over there because some customers just wanted to test and see if youngsters would be an opportunity for them. Maybe they don't have budget next year. Doesn't really matter. But this is a way of growing in terms of database of customers or number of logos. In terms of revenue growth, we still have our strongest growth from enterprise segment, from customer success and from new acquisition of enterprise customers.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And what would be, what are the main things that are, as a CEO, what are the three things that are on your mind over the next 12 months? It can be either, I would start with three challenges and then with three things that excite you to change the direction of the thoughts.
Well, as pitched, we're not looking to change the direction, rather doubling down on it because it's working for us and it's driving the results that we were expecting. In terms of three challenges, I think growing the team from 3-4 people to 16 people, it's difficult. Growing a team from 16 people to 50, it's even more so. So one challenge that I'm excitingly looking forward to is to see how the organization will develop and how we manage to keep the same culture, execution, level of commitment that we've seen so far with a larger and larger organization. But that's a challenge in itself. The second challenge that I'm also excitingly looking forward to, it's international markets. So right now, when we look at our pipeline, half of the more than half, closer to 70% of our pipeline, it's from international opportunities. Being in Germany, in Turkey, in the UK, we have another customer in Finland, for example. So I know to some degree that recruitment is more or less the same across markets. It's the localization, it's not our biggest challenge. In terms of languages, integrations, the process is more or less similar. However, the way you sell in a new market, it's quite different from one culture to another. So building a better framework for international expansion and finding expertise in our ecosystem in order to be able to drive growth in new markets, that's another challenge, an appealing one. The third one, it regards our social impact framework. So over there, we started with Just for Ukraine. We continued with Just for All. We see that we can do a lot of good in this world, and it's part of our culture and our values. We see a lot of opportunities in the field. It's one of the most ignored areas in terms of NGOs or social impact. It's not that tech providers and startups are not really looking at this market. It's a blue ocean for us so far from what we've been able to see. So gathering more expertise, building better models over there, expanding this entire framework for us, that's another very attractive challenge. So I think I answered both of your questions in terms of challenge and what I'm excitedly looking forward, because they go together.
Thank you. And coming a bit to the product offering, there's a question related to what types of value-added services like coaching, career mentoring are you offering to candidates, and could external coaches be another vertical for you?
Yes, thank you, Charles, for the question. And by the way, I'm looking forward to our next meeting. So regarding career services, it has two nuances. On one hand, it's a less scalable model. So for us to offer coaching, mentoring, or different other services, it's less scalable than offering technology. That's why this opportunity we're looking in terms of work with the ecosystem. So bringing coaches who can offer the first session for free for youngsters or for people with disabilities or different other professionals, and then becoming a lead generation funnel for them so they can continue the process with that professional. Same goes for mentors or different other professionals. That's something we want to build in the ecosystem. That's something we want to facilitate. So we're looking for group of coaches or group of mentors or different other skilling providers or career services providers. What we are able to do in our marketplaces in different implementations, we're able to link these to facilitate engagements between, as mentioned, youngsters or people with disabilities or vulnerable groups or different other professionals, and make sure that they are able to find this value within the same talent community. Yes, exactly. So for marketplaces, that's the ideal fit. Yeah, that's where we're looking to bring mentors, coaches. For the events, for example, just to give you a very specific functionality, for the events, we have speaker at the events, and everyone who participates to that event, being webinar or offline, is able to rate that speaker. Same goes in terms of functionality for coaches and mentors. Being able to build up a marketplace not only of professionals and employers, but also of career services providers, bringing all of them together within our technology and ecosystem. That puts us in a very strong position to grow. I hope I answered your question.
Well, thank you, Mihai, and thank you, Charles, for the question. I'll leave the floor for initial 10-15 seconds for anyone that Charles is happy with the answer. So I guess it was so. I just want to to leave the floor again for any last questions to Mihai, and just to give a reminder. So the investment opportunity is live on SeedBlink for at least the coming week. I'm just going to leave the link to the campaign page here, and just to remind everyone that if there are any follow-up questions that you think of afterwards, there's a discussion tab on the campaign page, and that Mihai will receive directly a notification and will get back to you as soon as possible. They've been nothing but responsive to any inquiries from investors so far. There's a question around the valuation and the investment terms.
Yes, we don't have currently a valuation. Well, the last valuation is the last conversion, which is at 4.8 million, which is also the floor for our convertible note. So the framework for investment, it's a convertible note with floor and cap at 10 million and 20% discount, which means 25% return of investment. Any other questions or clarifications? If not, I wanted to...
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I wanted to thank every single one of you for giving 1 hour of your time in order to find out more about Jobful. And regardless of your decision to invest or not to invest in Jobful, my personal recommendation would be to stay close. It's something that it's worth following for the upcoming future for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Mihai, for the kind words. And I want to thank everyone as well for the time. And if there are any questions, feel free to address either me or Mihai. And I want to wish you, a good afternoon and evening.
Yeah. Have a great week. Thank you.